What do you want to do today?
I don't know. Let's get out of this place. Why don't we go on a road trip?
Deal, let's go.
All right.
We have no idea what we're going to see today. We are going to head on a journey to a place around Huntsville. This episode is going to be about getting to that final destination and finding some cool things on the way while we talk about some of our church words.
Just heading up to a spot called Lion's Lookout, just because it gives a pretty cool bird's eye view of the town of Huntsville.
All right, well, this is a pretty awesome view. Lion's Lookout. Look at this. I've never been up here before. While we're on our road trip, we are going to talk about our current church word, which is righteous. The Bible actually has a lot to say about us and that about God.
Drive through this thing.
Yeah.
All right.
That's awesome.
Big old rock cut right here. Right, I keep coming across this word righteous. It's almost like a dead word in our language today, right? We don't use it in common conversation.
Okay, so let's look at what the Bible actually says about righteousness. I didn't bring my Bible today. I've just got my Bible app on my phone here. So 1 John 3:7 says, "Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is
righteous."
Duh. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous.
Well, that clears that up.
It does. And then it goes on to say, as he, referring to God, as he or Jesus is righteous. So let's find one more short one here. 2 Corinthians. This is just going right off the top here. For our sake, he made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. And I guess the question is, does God desire us to be righteous? Does God desire us to be morally and right and justifiably sound?
That's the factory I worked at for like 11 years.
What did you do there?
Made pipe. There's some of our pipe right there.
Whoa, right on that truck.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story. When I was, 17 or 18 years old, 20 some odd years ago, I was really involved in youth group and things like that. And I was also hugely involved with my own personal life into gangster rap. I loved, for anyone out there that knows hip hop at all, from the mid to early 90s, the Wu-Tang Clan. I listened to them non-stop. I drove to school in the middle of winter, blaring their music with my windows down in my car. I could sing along to any song. Triumph is one of my favorite Wu-Tang songs. But I was at this youth group and they were telling me that good Christians don't listen to stuff like that. And that kind of got to me. And so the more that I thought about it, I was like, man, I gotta change what I'm listening to. And so I remember getting all my CDs that I loved and laying them out on the carpet and getting a hammer and just smashing them, because I was told that Christians don't listen to rap music. And the more that I got older, this whole idea of righteousness and doing what's right, maybe it's not about behavior modification. Maybe it's about something else.
Actually, at that factory I was talking about that I worked at, factory workers swear a lot, right? It's just part of the culture, right? And I could cuss like a sailor, let me tell you. But I was just new again to church and Christianity and my faith, and God was changing me on the inside, right? He was changing who I was as a person. He was making me more righteous, right? More morally upstanding, more and more a person of integrity. And as that was happening, I became increasingly uncomfortable with swearing, not from other people, but from myself, just because I was being transformed into a different kind of person, right? So that's a difference, I think, between what Aaron was talking about, that behavior modification, which is all about following the rules, right? And for me, it wasn't about following rules, or it wasn't about anything that anyone was telling me I had to be. It was because God was just changing me on the inside. So it was really more about just me being more authentic.
Righteousness isn't necessarily about this behavioral change. I mean, our behaviors change, but not because we are trying to change. It's because God is making us who He wants us to be. It's just this natural process that happens when we start living with God and consciously following God, is that we just naturally become the people God created us to be. And sometimes you don't even really think about it. God just transforms you. So that's really about what that means for us as people to be righteous. But what does it mean for God to be righteous? Update on our road trip. Look, here's the sign for Dwight. Sign for Dwight. Can you see it? Can you see it? That was gone. Come and gone. Here's Dwight, everybody. I don't know if you can see that, but there's traffic and there's a moose with a... Oh, we're turning.
Let's just pull in right here.
Ooh, Erica's. I heard about Erica's. Yeah. Let's go in and check out Erica's. Coffee and bakery. Right now we're just waiting for some food. Well, I got beef jerky and coffee. And James, what did you get?
I got like a toasted Western.
All right, we just got our stuff from Erica's.
Yeah.
James, I don't know if you heard in there, James got a cowboy
Giddy
sandwich.
Giddy up.
I got some beef jerky and an Americano, which is huge. Normally Americanos aren't this big. So I'm gonna see what you want to go first, or do you want me here? How's your cowboy sandwich from Erica's? You just dropped it. Speechless. He doesn't want to talk with his mouth full.
No.
All right, I'm going to try my Americano. See how this is. It came out of a little machine, so it's probably not going to be super duper special, but that's a decent Americano, I must add, for it coming out of a little machine in the middle of Dwight, Ontario. Let's go check out this beach where James said is pretty great.
Yeah, this is Lake of Bays. So this would be the northern end of Lake of Bays. Lake of Bays is actually massive. It stretches from, so all around Lake of Bays. We have Dwight here on the north side, then all the way down to Baysville and Dorset, kind of on the southern end of the lake.
Say hello to Lake of Bays. So while we're just stopped, we posed the question, what does it mean for God to be righteous?
The words righteous and holy are very closely linked. That doesn't help. Holy is probably another church word that maybe we'll unpack in the next video. But the idea there is that God is so holy, meaning like He's unique. He's different from any other being in existence, right? So, and because of that, God is righteous, right? So God's actions reflect God's holiness. But to put it back into sort of what Aaron and I were talking about, we become righteous like our actions are morally upright. I like sometimes in the Bible it talks about walking the right paths, right? Sometimes righteousness is translated as that. So we walk the right paths because God is making us holy on the inside, right? So it's our actions are a result of what's going on the inside, of who we are on the inside, right? Jesus said our eyes are the window to the soul. Kind of mean like who we are on the inside becomes reflected in the actions we take on the outside. You know, Jesus is a great model of righteous living, right? Of what it means to walk the right paths. And, you know, he clearly stated he came to proclaim good news to the poor, to bring freedom to the oppressed, to bring healing to the blind. Jesus was very intent upon living out his righteousness in the world, right? So it has a lot to do with our moral integrity, right? So is who we are on the inside being reflected by our actions on the outside? Are we becoming morally upright people? And as a result, are we engaging in the world around us in healthy, meaningful, healing and restorative ways?
Onward. Say goodbye to Lake Bays.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Lake Bays. You're so blue. Okay, so you might be thinking, is being a Christian just about being a good person? And we would say yes, but it's about so much more than that. You know, there are 2 times in the Bible where the greatest commandment is mentioned. One way before Jesus, and Jesus even re-quoted it in his life. And this is what he said, I think, is where it comes into why being righteous is more than just being a good person.
Yeah, it was, so there's a couple of accounts in the New Testament where the religious leaders were challenging Jesus, questioning him, and the question they put before him was, what is the greatest commandment, right? So in the Old Testament, you know, we talk about the Mosaic Laws, right? The laws that were recorded in the books attributed to Moses. And there's like over 400, something like 463, something like that, Mosaic Laws, depends how you count them. So it was kind of a trap. They wanted to trap Jesus and be like, so pick one and tell us what's most important, right? Jesus was so shrewd and astute, and he really turns it back on them in a way. He brings it down to this. He says, the greatest commandment is this, to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, which is actually the Jewish Shema. They would pray that several times a day. And then he goes on to say, and the second is this, love your neighbor as yourself, right? And he says all of the laws hang on these 2 commandments, right? To love God with everything you've got and love each other, right? And it's as simple as that. You know, the second half of that, to love your neighbor as yourself, that's what we would consider, you know, being a good person, right? To live as a decent human being. You just love each other as you would yourself. It's the loving God with everything you have part that makes us righteous, right? We're not just good people, but we also love God with everything we've got. So as he transforms us on the inside, as he sort of directs us in our actions, we become righteous. We're not just being good people, but we're doing our best to live out God's purposes here on earth.
This whole idea of righteousness can really be summed up as it's these 2 things that God wants us to pursue, is to love others and love God. And to pursue these things, to actually pursue these things, all the while God's kind of in the background producing this desire for us to pursue these things. And it's when these 2 things go hand in hand as we start to see righteousness coming out of the things that we do in our lives. So as you hear this, pursue righteousness and pursue the idea of loving your neighbor and loving God. and loving Jesus and doing the things that Jesus wants and asks us to do. It's not rocket science, but it does require life transformation to do these things. Anybody can be a part of this. For James and Aaron, I'm Aaron.
I'm James.
I can't push James to his death, so we're just
Because we would actually die.
Here's some cool scenery.